Brexit, backstab, or backstop. Brexit is at a crucial moment in its history, one where many possibilities are laid out for its future. The first is an Irish backstop, which involves keeping Northern Ireland in the customs union for an undefined period of time.
We cannot have a barrier between ourselves. There's nowhere in the world would you have a barrier internally, an international barrier within a country. You cannot have that, and therefore we have to make sure that the whole of the United Kingdom leaves the European Union together.
The second is to backstab Theresa May.
If the Chequers plan, and the Prime Minister thinks she can get a deal on the basis of it, if that comes back to the House of Commons as the basis of a deal, will you vote for it or against it?
I'll vote against it. It would be rather odd for me to resign over something and then vote for it when it came back. In my view, the Chequers proposal, it's not a deal, we shouldn't call it the Chequers deal, it's the Chequers proposal, is actually almost worse than being in. I mean, we will be under the rule of the European Union with respect to all of our manufactured goods and agri-foods. That's a really serious concession. What about take back control? Doesn't work.
Get our weak Prime Minister out and redo the negotiations. But there is a third option. I didn't put it in the title. To backtrack, asking for a people's vote on the final Brexit deal. If, like Labour has suggested, that includes an option to remain, and Remain wins, we might not even get Brexit at all. So let's look more in detail at each. The first and more likely proposal, the Irish backstop, involves keeping Northern Ireland in the customs union. Why? Because the UK wants to be outside the customs union, which means creating customs borders, but it doesn't want any form of checks in Ireland for fear of reigniting the Troubles. The backstop is intended to be a temporary extension of the already agreed transitional period, as a way of extending the period of time required to work out how to not have a hard border in Northern Ireland. For the Prime Minister, this is not something the UK Parliament right now seems to want.
We cannot let this disagreement derail the prospects of a good deal and leave us with the no-deal outcome that no one wants.
The DUP have said it doesn't really solve the Irish issue anyway, because it just extends the period of negotiation. It means we stay in the EU longer, which means paying to stay in longer. Hence why the government say it should be only a matter of months. And Parliament will struggle to vote on and approve a deal that still leaves ambiguity over the future relationship the EU has with Northern Ireland. So what about backstabbing May? Let's talk of two ways this could happen. Either a Tory revolt from the Brexiteers, leading to a Davis or Boris Johnson in charge with no election, or a general election, which many suggest could lead to a Labour government. So let's just say there is a vote of no confidence on May, and we end up with another Tory as Prime Minister, regardless of their individual politics. It's a Prime Minister who isn't elected to be Prime Minister. Secondly, it's a governing party who have experienced the divisions of a leadership battle. Thirdly, they would have to produce a new mandate on Brexit and ask for an extension on Article 50 to renegotiate on their terms. And finally, it's not going to magically give the Tories a majority or produce an idea for Northern Ireland that both the DUP and the EU can agree on, while still maintaining Brexit. So let's say all of that happens and we still end up having a general election. Well, there's no guarantee of a majority government in a general election. We would still need to extend Article 50 if we wanted to renegotiate. There would still be angry Leave supporters who just wanted to leave, and angry Remain supporters who wanted a second referendum with an option to remain. There is no guarantee that the UK, under Labour's compromise solution to stay in the customs union but leave the EU, would be allowed to say which trade deals gets made in that customs union. So that all leads to backtrack, reversing the situation altogether, holding a second referendum with an option to remain, and Remain wins. Now what? Would Northern Ireland suddenly forget about how we almost left it as a bargaining chip? Would Scotland suddenly give its pursuit of independence? Would the EU citizens suddenly feel welcome? Would Brexiteers suddenly give up? Would the reputations of the Tories and Labour suddenly be revived? I don't think so, and for that reason, of the three, perhaps the backstop is the better option. But another solution right now is much, much more welcome. But do you agree with me? Join in the debate below and subscribe.